lot sense for Impunity here.
Well, dash lockdowns.
Yes, correct. And that totally cancels out, Ryby's way of, saying, I'm just going to pick a Harif, I'm going to stick on top of the Uranus, I'm just going to side dash, chrono dash.
It does make sense. Impunity SG, the way that they've been playing is really all about zone denials. We've seen Faramis drop his ultimate, that's zone denial. We're looking at Dominator's Descent, that's zone denial as well. Minsita is a hero that goes for zone denial. And in this sense, they didn't go for Minsita, they decided to go for a Fasa. In some sense, it's also a zone denial, but in a completely different ways. Most of the zone denial we're talking about is all about utility, but this one is more about damage.
Yeah, I gotta say, Impunity looking very scary in terms of damage, but this time around, I was slightly
Backlines is paper.
Yeah, I would slightly go for Explorer's Draft just because they have a bit more scaling in their lineup. They have a bit more damage online now that they pick up the Loi, but it all depends on whether or not Impunity can pop off within the first 5 minutes. I think skill, like pacing, I'll just come back to pacing, right? We saw in the first game, Impunity, they were looking to pace every single time Zaz ulti is online. They will go for a fight, and I think the same goes for Impunity this time around again. The moment Tekka has that Feather Airstrike online, they will look for a fight.
Oh, in the middle lane, a fast rampage. On the side of Impunity, that's going to drop Dora all the way down to half health and going to be forcing a recall onto that side. So Impunity has already done what they need to by forcing a little bit of momentum onto their side and ensure that Explorer would not have an easy way out in taking the buff for themselves. And that is going to push Claude down over to the red buff and just disables him from immediately picking up the purple buff. That is time that has been taken away from Explorer.
And more importantly, we also see Brody picking up the... Oh, I might have to hold that thought. Rum, in a little bit of trouble, but
not too big of a
deal. It is a Uranus. It is a Uranus after all.
Tried to proxy the lane a little bit. He tried to be a little bit cheeky, but he does definitely knows the limit of his capabilities.
Yeah, I was just about to mention, I think Brody also picked up the Lithosphere, so that is a very, very huge, not exactly the biggest, but it is a huge advantage as compared to Claude, who had to retreat from the blue buff, and now we do see the Rafaela once again invading onto the blue buff, and look at who's behind. You got Miku on this Fasa, and Mochichi could be in a lot of trouble if he doesn't get out. As of now, Ryby coming in to help, and they do manage to secure the blue buff, but Soren now right on top of Ryby, who doesn't have his level 4 as of yet, so he will have to back off. But Impunity, look at that, the pressure starting to ramp up, not dropping off pacing from their first game.
Okay, so the way that Impunity is playing is that they are constantly trying to put some control over to the opponent's purple buff, constantly. But it does seem like Explorer, they are reacting pretty darn well. And in that very very context, if Impunity were to do that same thing again, while Explorer had most of their ultimates up, and even if Impunity have their ultimates up, I do think that Explorer may actually win some fights and get themselves some decent amount of control throughout the match.
Impunity looking to secure a turtle here, and yes, they will. Explorer a little bit too late, spent too much time on the bot lane trying to catch Rum out. I felt like they could have contested, right? You saw the Fasa almost a quarter of HP when he just joined the fight, and that could have been a good engagement tool for Explorer, but they had no vision there, so it was not like they knew that the Fasa was low in HP. So Impunity once again walking away with the first major objective in the turtle, and they will be looking to run at Explorer from now on.
Take away. Does seem like he tried to face check in the bush. Almost getting taken down with the massive amount of burst damage that Loi as well as this forward and Koopa is capable of. But not quite enough to completely kill down a single enemy. It will take some time for them to scale. While Rum takes his own sweet time proxying the lane, flash farming as much as he can, just to ensure that he brings out the outer shield as much as possible. And it doesn't really seem to care about any kinds of adversaries, because Impunity, they are controlling the bottom lane pretty darn efficiently. And Explorer, they are doing the same thing up top, except that it is not that big of a control as compared to what Uranus is capable of.
Or once again looking for a gang onto the top side. They want to take control before the turtle fight. 40 seconds to go, but Impunity, they have other plans of their own. They want to have this 4-man gang onto the mid, while Chang'e's going to be able to hold her own with that Meteor. falling meteor, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Xplr really want to go through with it. They don't have enough time to take down their first tier turret.
Shouldn't be a problem over the longer period of time, because the way that Impunity has been playing is that they're trying to control down in the bottom quite a lot, but they are not necessarily looking at the objectives itself. They're just rotating in the mid, rotating down the bottom. They don't have a massive amount of control. They managed to, they did not bring down the turret as fast as Xplr, and now Xplr will have the front feet, will have a better feet into bringing the turtle down next.
Yeah, they're committing 5 men onto the turtle here. Not the worst idea, but Impunity actually recognizing the fact that they're too far away to contest for the turtle, decides to go settle for the tier 2 at the bot lane. They will also be able to steal away the red buff, so in some sense, Impunity, they got their net worth at, for investing onto this bottom side.
Okay, so that is going to be 2 free turret done down in the bottom lane. Not too sure how that is going to impact the gameplay here. Ryby, Dora, and Bento, they're looking forward for the next one. Here we go, Miku all the way behind, but unfortunately it does seem like Pebble did manage to get a decent amount of stun down onto Miku, but not good enough, because the main bulk of the enemy forces down in the bottom lane manages to bring down Bento, Ryby, as well as Dora. They forced down, or rather they forced onto the inhibitor turret down the bottom lane. That is a good amount of, well, control throughout the map. And Impunity, that suction coming in from the side of Loi is definitely one thing that Impunity SG should not underestimate at all.
The rotation into the yin-yang combo, just too much for Takeaway to kind of just absorb all that damage. He is a support after all, but look at what Impunity have. They lost Takeaway, but they managed to secure the tier 1 in the middle as well as the tier 1 at the top. Well, I wouldn't say they secured the tier 1 in the middle, but look at how low they brought the turret down.
It's rather insane how Impunity is playing this out. At first, I was just kind of very skeptical with the way that that they're just rotating between mid and bottom lane, but not really committing into anything at all. But it seems like they are going on a reactive gameplay, just waiting for Xplr to do something, and then they will react accordingly to ensure that they will have a candle on top of them. Like, ensure that they are always on top of Xplr, no matter what Xplr does.
Yes, Impunity having that 2k goal lead on top of their rivals as of now. But we have seen games where Impunity haven't really been able to close out those games smoothly, so that's something to wear with.
Takeaway immediately melted down, coming in from the rotation. The Xplr didn't manage to put for themselves. Bento all the way in the front lines, trying to go for the out-of-bound Soren, but unfortunately Reminiscent is going to be the one that brings him down. Ryby in the front lines, trying to go for the summon force, but was not able to go for the corner dash at all. Pebbles only on the other side. He's still going to be he's just going to be alive for a moment in time. Dora and the rest of his team is just going to be congregating together, but unfortunately Ram will put down the final executioner's blow down onto the side of Pebble. Ram almost getting the final hit down on the Monchichi, did not finish the blow, but his dominating push at the start is definitely going to give Impunity one hell of a snowball.
Absolutely. Explorer here losing a lot of objectives on the map. We saw Popo and Koopa trying to stick on top of that Fasa, but just not enough damage to bring that Feathery Airstrike bird down. And now Impunity looking to take over the entire map. They've got the tier 2 onto the top. They're, gearing up for a 5-man push down in mid. And what's to say that anything can stop them? Look at that. Look at the pure damage coming in for the Feathery Airstrike. Bento said running away for his life. Ram dropping really low as well. Takes one too many turret shots, and he will go down. But Impunity sending out a very strong message that they want to go for objectives. And I think Xplr did a good job at defending that middle lane, but so much more work to be done before you can safely say that they can come back into this game.
There was an undisturbed summon force coming in from the side of Ryby, getting himself kills after kills. As long as Xplr is able to hold on to their own for a good 10 minutes from now on, it should be able to get them into a pretty decent place to play. In the meantime, it does seem like we do have a pretty good itemization coming from the side of Xplr as they're going out. Actually, the itemization isn't too bad.
Yeah, I mean, the
Even on the
DHS
sword.
finally onto Monchichi. That's where the damage, the bulk of damage is going to come in. But look at this. I mean, oh, look at that. The Meteor Shower coming in
man.
too much for Pebble to deal with. The Feather Airstrike combo as well, as Impunity will secure the tier 2 tower. And like I said, the moment they have these huge ultimates online, they always go for objectives. And this is what I'm talking about. Xplr, they need to be very well aware that Impunity are looking to gear up for these team fights. And, well, on Impunity's end, they have such a simple draft to execute. Farsa has the Feather Airstrike, let's go for it. Meteor Shower online, let's go for it. And that's what they've been doing in Game 1, and they're looking to replicate the same result in Game 2.
Yeah, the Feather Airstrike is pretty much a catalyst that allows Impunity to play very aggressively, because most of the front line just goes wherever that they want to, and then when it comes to, Bento went straight to the brush, only for him to get absolutely melted down, as dead as a doornail. And now Impunity, they have gotten themselves in a pretty decent lead, but here we go. We do have the Blazing Duet coming from inside. Monchichi dealt a decent amount of damage, in fact, a lot of damage on the Impunity, but not enough to finish off a bulk of the enemy's team. The Lord was resetted. They did manage to scout out the fact that there's quite a lot of people right by the Lord's Pit, but that rotation from the side of Pebble was the death of Bento, and not any case good at all. Really good kill coming in from Harif all the way at the top lane, and now they're just going to be rotating all the way right back over to the Lord's Pit and ensure that the opponents don't take the Lord. But either way, Impunity, they're not too afraid of not getting this Lord, because either way, if they don't get this Lord, they will just wait for the 12 minutes Lord.
Yeah, the difference being Impunity didn't have the Farsa online. We saw, Raibi going immediately for the Farsa. They recognized the threat of the Feather Airstrike. Without the Feather Airstrike, Impunity lacks a bulk of the damage that they were counting on. But they still have that Brody, and they still have the Chang'e. And this is where Xplr have to be very smart in picking their team fights. We saw the huge item pickup coming from Monchichi with the Demon Hunter Sword. That's why they were able to pick this fight up. But Impunity looking very strong here, very tight knitted formation coming in. You got Farsa staying on the back line, Soren staying on the back line as well. Will it be once again a sacrifice? No, it isn't. It's going to be a bait. Run. Oh, they managed to reset the Lord. And now Bento will have to try to drop back. But Miku does pick up the first kill onto the Lapu Lapu. But that doesn't matter. Look at that. The DHS coming in alongside with Dora just pushing Ron through. They managed to catch up Reminiscent. Oh, and that is going to be the Brody down, surviving for one more second. But Raibi will secure a triple kill for himself. And do they pick the Lord up now?
Golden Staff!
That is that huge pickup on Monchichi's pick. Those itemizations allow them to just steamroll over the fight, and Impunity losing a lot of that early game impact that they have through the two majors.
That was just the fight the Explorer needed to bounce himself right back into the game. But the thing is, Miku, he can't just jump right in and go straight in with a Feather Airstrike. Unfortunately, Feather Airstrike did not bring down the Lord. In fact, Explorer is the one that manages to bring down the Lord. They could have just kind of dragged on the Lord a little bit more to get themselves top in this Lord, but unfortunately, Impunity, they were right onto their tails, and they had to take it no matter what. Flashback over to the previous fight just now. Bento, he was all the way in. A really good flicker to get himself out, but unfortunately, he still went down over to the side of Miku. But all eyes on the Monchichi, because he went out into a blazing duet. Raibi gets himself the second, and from this point on, Impunity SG is no longer confident, and they do not want to get themselves in any more battles. And from that point onwards, it was just all crashing downhill in favor for Explorer.
Yeah, very greedy gameplay coming up from Impunity to try to start the Lord twice, and twice now we've seen Bento being the sacrificial lamb on the side of Explorer. He's gone down both times in these team fights, but in return his team has managed to pick up huge wins. And here we go, Feather Airstrike being used defensively for the first time, if I remember correctly.
I think so, yes. Most of the Feather Airstrike, they are all offensive to catch out the opponents, and every single one of that Feather Airstrike is going to take a major chunk of health away from Explorer. And once they see that area of effect that the Feather Airstrike puts out, they know it's time to back off. But in the meantime, hold on a second, it does seem like Explorer, they are looking for something over here. They want to force this out. They really want to take this first tier turret down as soon as possible, because it is now all the way down to 1/4 of a health, or a quarter of a health. So they don't really care about anything at this point in time.
Oh, what a bait with the loyalty there. And once again, Impunity gearing up. They kind of expected, times the charm. Maybe we've caught twice on Explorer's members, but now they're looking to push onto the bot lane. Explorer having a next wave coming in. and they've managed to split Impunity into two. Ram trying to hold the lane on his own, but he knows he can't take too much damage before the team fight breaks up. Xplr now gearing up. Oh, look at that. They have no one that can stop this. They have no one that can stop this Harif.
No one at all now. This is a free real estate for Ryby as well as Monchichi. Impunity, they have to catch the right person. And speaking of catching the right person, they try to go for the feathered airstrike down onto the pebble, as well as a little bit of that meteor shower. So 2 ultimates down. We don't care. Let's not care about feathered airstrike because the cooldown is pretty darn fast. Actually, you know, meteor shower is pretty fast as well. So now Xplr, they know that Impunity definitely got their back against the wall. They're a little bit afraid. All Xplr need to do is to slowly regain control by dominating and controlling the map from the 50 line onwards. Suffocate Impunity by a little bit because they are constantly sticking to one another. As long as Xplr is able to thin out their forces and ensure that everyone have got a decent amount of farm coming in from Harif as well as Monchichi, they are good and solidified for the late game.
I would presume to see a lot of Athena shields coming out on the side of Xplr, or at least on both Dora and Bento, because these two members are going to be the ones that's going to be soaking up a lot of the damage coming in from Changa's meteor shower. And once those items are up, I find it very tough for Impunity to pick a team fight, because they were steamrolling early game because of that mage, double mage ulti that they have. But now the Xplr have kind of just found their footing. They kind of know what's the win condition. All they have to do is not make a mistake. Speaking about mistake,
Bento is probably going to be melted down by he's the one that's just going to be holding down the front while the rest of the Impunity gets themselves from the behind. And here we go. Ryby, Zaman Force dealing a bunch of damage on the side of Reminiscent, but they're unable to just bust him down before their own member goes down, as Dora is now down for the count. Bento as well. Reminiscent, no more marksman. It's okay. Monchichi coming up next. They get themselves far ahead from one another and ensure that Xplr, they do not yield any more kills over to the side of Impunity, because that previous team fight was rather scuffed. They did manage to get themselves in a pretty right footing, but unfortunately the mobility that Impunity SG is able to get for themselves because of the holy healing just extended the lead a little bit further, and that is not something that Xplr was, you know, expecting about.
Yeah, more importantly, Xplr did manage to bring down Reminiscent, and that was a huge saving grace in that team fight. They did lose 3 members, but here we go. Blazing Duet coming in from Monchichi. He nearly got out of there. But here comes Floyd, catches 2 members with the rotation, and it is Miku that's going to be the next one down. Runs for his life, but Xplr now 5 men strong. They can look to take the Lord.
2 objectives.
Yeah, and without both the Farsa as well as the Rafaela, I find it very tough for Impunity to contest this, but it does look like they still want to buy time. 30 more seconds before both of the supports come back up online.
No issues.
Can Xplr secure this in time?
Yeah, there's no issues. Impunity, they really should not contest for it. There is no reason for them to contest. The only thing that they can do is just deploy Ram to just disturb them just by a little bit.
No lockdown.
Yeah. At this point of time, even the Zaman Force is being dropped down, Xplr, they are very happy. They've got a solid head in between of that shoulders. They are prepared to bring in the worst onto the side of Impunity. This is the point of time that they are going to be getting themselves a lot more snowball lead with a 49k versus a 45k. 4,000 gold lead. That is equivalent to, well, 1 or 2 items.
Genius one coming up for the side of Soren, but I don't think that's going to be enough. Take away, caught out of position, and without the Rafaela, that's the sustain gone. Rum. The only ray of hope left. They're going to try to drop the meteor shower to clear this wave up, and yes, they can. But nevertheless, Xplr is still pushing through. Oh, the rotation. That is such a huge concern for Impunity. With that Loi in the draft, you know, Rum can't just... Yeah, Rum can't blindly run in, because any of his members that's behind onto the backline will get sucked onto the rotation. So that is something that Xplr is looking to exploit, and they have been doing successfully thus far. Once again, Meteor Shower pulled up. They're going to try to bring the Lord down to a quarter of a HP, but Xplr still keeping the Lord alive. Right, B using it. Oh, 5-man rotation here. Is it enough? No, it's only 4 men, but Rum now dropping really low. But they came and got what they asked for.
Yeah.
They got the tier 2 turret out to the top lane. They're looking to stuff out the jungle now, and this is in full control for Xplr. They don't need to risk anything from here on. It's all about closing the game out.
No problems for them now. Suffocating Impunity's farm is going to be their #1 priority because this is going to be Explorer's next thing in mind. They just need to suffocate Impunity as much as possible and then just allow Ram to just come in between of the lines. Just kind of fake a little bit of a fight, allow Impunity to pop off all of the ultimates and then go in afterwards. Because but at this point in time, right, Bento does have really good survivability. Athena Shield, Queen's Wings, we even have the Bloodlust Axe. Bento have been seen being in the front lines for quite a bit, and yet he can still live. So right now, Explorer, they are very confident. Suffocate them, slowly push out the lanes, and then get the Lord in that 2 minutes time frame.
Explorer now playing that patient game. They know they can't afford to make a mistake. In fact, neither of these teams can afford to make their mistakes. Two tier 3 standing in between Explorer and the game, and if Impunity they lose a bad team fight here, Explorer can also look to end the game through the top side. So it's going to be a nerve-wracking moment for either of these teams who know that the next lot is going to be that huge winning condition for this game too.
Aura doing exactly what I was expecting them to do. Slowly pushing out lanes while they wait for the Lord to come back up. Because there's really no point in them push out the lanes all the way and giving farm over to Impunity. Just let the creeps do its own deal, kill itself, and then there will only be like half a wave for Impunity SG to handle. And then that is going to be less gold, less EXP that's going to be spread out in between. It's completely thinned out.
Very smart lane management coming from Explorer here. No need to push up the waves. Let's just, let them get up. And that's going to force Impunity to come out of their own base, which, credit to them. They're very disciplined here. They know they don't need to walk out the base. And I don't know. I feel like the impact of Reminiscent on this Brody is starting to drop as the minute goes by. The torn apart memory, just not enough damage to burst anyone on the side of Explorer. But at the same time, they don't have enough lockdown for Ryby. And that has been, the reason for Explorer's success so far is that Ryby has pretty much a lot of freedom in, picking out his targets onto the back line, just chrono dashing, making sure that he doesn't get caught out by both Lutu's and Soren's ultimate. It's going to be a bait here. I know for sure they're just going to secure the Lord, and Impunity will definitely look to contest.
Yep. This Lord is going to be the make it or break it game for Explorer. If they take it, that would be good. Ryby over to the eastern side. He needs to push the Uranus away, and he still got his Diamond Force. A little bit of immobilizing on the side of Ram. He's going to be one of the main catalysts that we are going to be looking at. Reminiscent! He's currently he almost went down, but it does seem like Mochichi is going to be the first one to go down. The Diamond Force pop, but they are unable to continue to push Impunity away. Top lane completely pushed out. The Lord is pushing right in. It shouldn't be a problem for Impunity to actually defend this at all, because Explorer, well, Monchichi was just caught out. Wrong place, wrong time. It wasn't able to bring out the Blazing Duet the way that he wanted to. Once he brings out Blazing Duet, he got caught out. He's dead. And now Explorer, they have to wait for yet another 3 minutes before they can look forward for a confident game end.
Yeah, but nevertheless, Impunity, they still lost a lot, so they're just going to have to defend it up. Explorer, they know they could have done a little bit better in the fight, but, Monchichi diving on the back line was kind of a necessity, right? Because if he doesn't dive in, he can't follow up with the rotation. The two men catch out by Pebble here. They're looking to catch out Tekka away. A little bit more burst should do the trick, but they will have to back off as Miku pops the feathered airstrike. And Explorer, once again, despite being in a 3v4 situation, still bravely marching on, trying to exert whatever pressure that they can in the jungle of Impunity SG.
The only thing that I can see Explorer doing is to slowly chip away the turrets one by one. Because the lane control that Impunity has is pretty darn good. The way that they can just burst down waves, no issues, feathered airstrike, as well as the meteor shower is definitely going to be online whenever and where, anytime that they wanted it. So Explorer, they can either wait for that very point of time whereby these two ultimates are used to wave clear and then jump right in, but that is a very ambiguous setup, right? That is a very overconfident, complacent way of playing. But knowing Explorer, that is not the play that they want to go for. They would want to wait for the Lord, hold on and control the lanes to ensure that it is not over-pushed, but still ensuring that Impunity can't catch up in farm.
Good airstrike being used. A little bit early, Meteor Airstrike. Did I just went with Meteor Airstrike, Meteor Shower?
Meteor Airstrike.
But pretty much
I mean, we can call that as a wombo combo
It's
name.
pretty much Impunity's gameplay, right? The Meteor Airstrike, Meteor Shower plus the Feathered Airstrike. We go in, try to push someone down.
Diversion! Right on top of Soren! But he flickers himself away. He will not be caught on just yet. Pebble is going to be the next one in line as they are going to be looking at the Meteor Airstrike. Indeed, over there. Meteor Monchichi went straight in. Blazing do it. One man down. Two men down, or maybe. Yeah, there we go. The two men down. Reminiscent is going to be the next one in line. Dora is going to be the next one in line as well. As Ram sticks to him right on his tail. With 2 versus 2. Or rather, 2 for 2. Xplr, they did not lose Monchichi. So they can still try to go for a little bit of a push over here. But the only problem is that there is still the 2 mage, Miku and Soren, and thus it is still not going to be easy. This is going to be a really long dragged out game. Because as long as Xplr kind of loses the same amount of people that Impunity loses, they can't push in. They need to have a very decisive victory in order to push.
That was a superb diversion there, and I got to give credit to Xplr. They have been, they have been juking out, playing in the heads of Impunity every single time there's a diversion. They have to guess, oh, are they coming in? Are they not? And looking at how aggressive that diversion was, I think Impunity, for the last of it would have been the last thing on their mind that Xplr would have just gone for it, and it worked out well. I think it could have been executed a little bit cleaner, but nevertheless, like you said, as long as Xplr don't lose too many of their cores, being Raibi as well as Monchichi, I think they can definitely hold their grounds, even if it's a 3v4 fight. Because what we have seen so far is that Takeaway, the moment Takeaway goes down, Impunity kind of just loses that, sustain that they need in these team fights. And I'm not even sure if they're going to contest this, because you got this Uranus that has to push out the bottom lane, but it is a 19-minute Lord. Past the 19-minute mark, the Lord is not going to increase in power anymore. So Xplr looking to really contest this. Got Ram in the midst of it, and they are looking to burst him down, and they might be able to. Oh, they're just sucking him back and forth. But look at that.
Raibi!
Oh, Monchichi, bad position there. Raibi gets caught out. The Meteor Airstrike will come in. The double combo. But Monchichi onto the back line. The blazing duet. One more hit. Oh, he's just going to use the punish onto Riab. And Riab, oh, it's already out of the picture. Monchichi now jumping right back in. Oh, the
Monchichi, though, is coming in from behind and tries to get a kill on the takeaway, but unfortunately, he got caught out! And down he goes! The immortality is popped! He immediately goes down to the ground, as dead as a doornail! Reminiscent, takeaway, they're still alive! Rum pushing right in onto Bento, and he's building up on the stacks, building onto the shields! Now, with only of the 2 front lines Xplr had, they had a good chance, they had a good roll, they still have 60 seconds on their most important player. That is gonna be Monchichi. Bottom lane's pushed, mid lane's pushed. Bento, what can he do? Dora tries to jump right in for the stun, but Bento, he's actually dealing a decent amount of damage, and he's still surviving from all of that.
Oh, the top lane!
Oh, the top lane! Oh, no way! They have to stop them. Takeaway. He calls himself back up top. Miku will do the exact same thing, and now it is going to be a talent fight. As long as they don't lose the bottom lane turret, it should be a-okay. And the answer is an a-okay. Top lane inhibitor turret is down. Middle lane inhibitor turret is down. This is a fair fight between Xplr and Impunity. The next fight is going to be the deciding factor.
I can't watch this abstract. This is just too much at stake for both of these two teams. Impunity on one end, looking to end Xplr, but once again, Raibi nearly caught Rum out of position, but Rum has his ultimate, will just try to pop off. Meanwhile, you got Xplr looking to sneakily start the Lord, but look at this Uranus onto the bot lane, trying to split push.
They still don't have Reminiscent. He can't take this fight, or can they? As Bento immediately jumps on the backline, tries to get the kill on the Miku. He runs far away and ensures that Xplr can definitely take this Lord, as Rum is gonna be the next one in line. He goes down, the timer is completely staggered. Takeaway goes down, the immortality popped, and now it's going to be the tough game, whereby Reminiscent is gonna come back out. No more frontline coming from Rum, no more healing coming from Takeaway. It is going to be Soren, Miku, and Reminiscent. What can they do? They can kill, they can bring out and just wipe out the wave clear. But unfortunately, it is a 3v5.
60 seconds, that's a lot of time the Xplr have. And not only that, they have the Lord. That is the most important thing that they have going on for them. We saw in the last teamfight, Xplr tried to force the Lord.
This is gonna be a thick tank.
I don't know. The fact that they don't have sustain coming in from the Rafaela as well as the frontliner in Rum, I'm not sure if the 3 remaining members of mpl-ph can take on this 5-man push, and they're pushing it from every single wave.
It's pushing in unison. They are literally pushing in unison. The diversion is not going to be, it's going to be a fake diversion. We do have the, they used up all their ultimates. They used up all their ultimates, and now we are going to be looking at Monchichi trying to go in to steal a little bit of them.
No one gets the riot.
Oh, the amount of damage, and they went straight in, all the way down from the bottom lane, while we were so obsessed with the top lane, because Monchichi was the one that's receiving a lot of damage. And I think that Impunity at point of time thought like, yeah, you know, Monchichi's HP is down low. We can probably take this. But suddenly, Ryby comes in from the bottom lane, pushed out the lane completely, and all of the ballistas just locked and loaded onto the core, and that is going to give an Xplr 1 win against Impunity, and this is madness.
Yeah, and you can see the amount of relief on the faces for the players of Xplr. They knew that there was a point in the game that they could have just lost, but
it could have.
Every single time they looked like they were losing the fight, they managed to pick off Reminiscent. That was so important. The moment Reminiscent goes down, the rest of the side of Impunity actually do not have enough damage to take objectives. And that objective being turrets. And because of that, Xplr time and time again were able to buy enough time for their own carries to come back up, including the Harith as well as Monchichi on this clock. And look at that. We went all the way, every single hero max build here. I think Takeaway was building probably into an